Well, to tell you the truth, for a while I was lost. I really was.
He was lovable, he was dangerous, everything a young kid would admire, you know. And I remember going home, saying a little prayer that night, saying, gosh, a real prayer, saying, I really wish he would be my friend.
I think in any other part of this business, if you look at it, I mean, he was responsible for so much, and yet when he died, he took so little with him. And I think that that's sad.
In the country.
January 8th, 1946, in the heart of Tupelo, Mississippi, a wide-eyed 11-year-old and his mother stood in Tupelo hardware store. It was a special day, the young boy's birthday. The boy asked his mother for a bicycle, a gift that any 11-year-old would cherish. But with a tender heart, the boy's mother knew those dreams were beyond what she could afford. And so, nestled in the hardware store, rested a $7 guitar, waiting to be embraced by the young boy. Little did the mother know, that very guitar would lay the groundwork for music that would resound throughout generations to come. Elvis Presley was born January 8, 1935, in a small two-room shotgun house in Tupelo, Mississippi. This was a time marked by economic hardships and the lingering shadow of the Great Depression. Financial resources were scarce. Yet, young Elvis was enveloped in a wealth of love and care from his parents, Vernon and Gladys. Elvis was born alongside his twin brother named Jesse Presley. Unfortunately, Jesse was stillborn. This was heartbreaking news for the Presley family, especially for Elvis's parents. Despite their financial hardships, the Presleys were a close-knit and loving family. The Presleys were deeply religious, and their faith played a significant role in their lives. They attended the First Assembly of God Pentecostal Church in Tupelo, where gospel music was a central part of the worship. In 1938, when Elvis was just 3 years old, his father, Vernon, faced a 3-year prison sentence for altering a check, an act from financial desperation. However, due to Vernon's love for his family and sense of responsibility, he ultimately served only 8 months of his sentence on good behavior. The family's struggles during Vernon's absence resulted in the loss of their home, which instilled in Elvis a strong sense of empathy and family bonds at a young age. Elvis attended Lawhon Elementary School. Accounts from Elvis's early teachers describe him as a polite, quiet, and well-behaved student. He would often participate in school performances, showcasing his budding talent.
I'll take this yoke upon me and live a Christian life.
Elvis showed a keen interest in music from the start, and his parents supported his musical endeavors, even when times were tight. Despite their limited means, the Presley household was filled with music. Elvis's parents and extended family members played a role in nurturing his love for music. Gospel, blues, and country music were prominent influences in his early years.
Well, natural rhythm. Yeah, he had rhythm with feeling. He felt his rhythm. Is why he was able to perform it like he did.
He loved to sing gospel music. It was within these walls that he first experienced the power of music to convey profound emotions.
The most important thing of all, as far as music goes, was gospel music. Elvis loved to sing gospel music. I think it made his connection with God and Jesus and Christian. Because he was raised on gospel music. And he loved to sing that. He felt great. He'd go down in the music room by himself and just sit and play the piano and sing gospel music. That was his favorite music of all.
He did. Yeah, he couldn't have gotten that from any other source other than the black musicians.
He stepped on land, stood on the shore, and they clapped that time. There wouldn't be no more. But it's over and over. Oh, no, oh, no, God's gonna ride on the winning tide.
Welcome to the great city of Memphis, the nation's cleanest city. A rapidly growing metropolis of almost 500,000 people on the banks of the Mississippi River.
When Elvis was 13 years old, his family relocated to Memphis in search of better opportunities. Memphis was a vibrant city with a rich musical culture, and it had a profound impact on Elvis's musical development.
Okay, here's where I lived when I was growing up that I learned to take care of myself. You had to survive in here. You'd get beaten up and your ice cream money stolen from you by the older kids to buy cigarettes and everything. So we were taught by the real older kids, the 17, 18, 19-year-olds, how to fight and everything, so that the 14, 15-year-olds couldn't pick on us because we were 12. So it just gradually got where you grew up and you just knew how to handle yourself. And I lived up here at 644H Somerville, right here, and I'm looking at it. A lot of these are boarded up and closed, as you can see, with metal doors on them, but someone still lives where I lived there at 644H. This here, when I lived here, was before I knew Elvis. I was only a kid. I was like from 9 to 12 to 13 years old before we moved out of here, and I went into the 7th grade at Humes. I didn't meet Elvis. Never, even in the school when I was at Humes, he was a student there also, but he was 3 or 4 years ahead of me, so I didn't know people in the high school. I just knew my friends in junior high part from 7th through the 9th, the 10th through the 12th. You just didn't know them.
Memphis is a busy city.
Memphis was a melting pot of musical styles, drawing influences from blues, gospel, country, and soul. Beale Street, in particular, was a renowned hub for live music. It was a city where African American and white cultures intersected, particularly in the realm of music.
Yeah, this is Manassas Avenue, where Humes High School used to be. It is now a middle school called Humes. And this is where Elvis went to school the whole time he was in Memphis. When he moved up, he was going into the 7th grade, so he started here. This is the only school he went to in Memphis, 7th through the 12th.
While at Humes, Elvis continued to nurture his growing passion for music, particularly the guitar. He often participated in talent shows and musical events.
The way I met Elvis was in the last year of high school at Humes High School in 1953. We had something in common. Otherwise, we really wasn't that close. But when I moved from New York to Memphis, I still wore the same type of clothes we wore in New York. Back then, it was loud color pants and shirts and saddle stitches on the side and what was known as pistol pockets on the back. You wore your shirt with your collar up and had a pompadour in your hair. And the guys in Memphis my age basically wore Levi's, a T-shirt, and had a crew cut, except one guy, and that was Elvis. Elvis was a bit of a loner back then. He had maybe 3 or 4 friends that lived in the same housing project he did, and primarily was shy, did not really come out of his shell until a couple of talent shows, and the girls started screaming him. I mean, he always liked girls. I mean, I think he had more girlfriends than he had guy friends.
He graduated from Humes without any notable public performances or major music industry connections. However, the groundwork for his future success had been laid through his dedication to his craft and the rich musical environment of Memphis. It was after high school that Elvis's journey to fame truly began. In 1953, Elvis began working at Crown Electric for a wage of $1 per hour. At Crown Electric, Elvis worked as a truck driver and delivery assistant. The job provided him with a steady income for the time, but the young man was destined for something greater. In the summer of 1953, an 18-year-old Elvis walked into Sun Records, a small recording studio located on Union Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. Sun Records was founded by Sam Phillips in a year prior. Phillips was a visionary producer and recording engineer who had a keen ear for talent.
Well, it was Sun Studios is where I met him. Sam Phillips had started the label, and the studio was put together on a shoestring.
The young Elvis paid $4 to record 2 songs as a gift for his mother, Gladys.
Partway through the first side, I began to get these very strange reactions to his voice and his manner of singing, and I did something that normally we never did. I reached out and started the tape recorder so that I could get a part of one of the songs so that Sam could hear it later when he came back.
The young studio owner, Sam Phillips, was struck by Elvis's voice and style. He saw something special in the way Elvis blended elements of gospel, country, and rhythm and blues.
It was a very different style. I was highly impressed with what I thought he could do as an artist.
A year later, in July 1954, Elvis returned to Sun Records to record a new song, That's All Right, with Scotty Moore on guitar and Bill Black on bass.
I think Scotty and Bill had just left, and Elvis was getting ready to leave, and I walked in, and Sam introduced me to him. And we sat and talked a few minutes, and Elvis said to me, he said, are you coming back? I said, yeah, I guess so. Why? He said, come on back over. He said, I'll be over here again tomorrow night. And so I went over again the next night, and one thing led to the other.
And they Elvis cut down on That's All Right, Mama. He was just flogging the guitar. And even off mic, it had impact. I mean, he was on top of that song, That's All Right, Mama.
The recording had a lively, upbeat tempo and a sound that was distinctly different from anything else at the time. Phillips, sensing the magic, decided to play the recording on local radio station WHBQ.
I remember it explicitly. I was driving down Valentine Avenue here in Memphis with a friend of mine who also went to Humes, and we were listening to Dewey Phillips, as all the kids did back then. And Dewey started going off about, well, I got this brand new record by this boy who was from Humes High School, and both my friend and I looked at each other. We were trying to figure out who it was and played the record, and we thought it was really good. And at the end, he said Elvis Presley, and it just, it really shocked us. And he played it like 7 or 8 times in a row. He said the response on the telephone was just phenomenal.
Listeners flooded the station with requests to hear it again. Sam Phillips, in particular, was struck by Elvis's voice and style. He saw something special in Elvis. Recognizing the potential, Sam Phillips quickly signed Elvis to a recording contract. This marked the beginning of a groundbreaking partnership. From here, Elvis started to perform live. He made his first public appearance at the Bon Air Club in Memphis on July 17, 1954.
So Elvis started, picking up airplay, and he started getting booked in these little places. Had gotten a job at this department store at the first shopping center that was ever built in Memphis, Airways Plaza Shopping Center. And they hired Elvis and a band for the grand opening.
But Elvis's first significant live performance took place at the Overton Park Shell in Memphis on July 30th, 1954. His dynamic stage presence, combined with his energetic delivery, captivated audiences and left an indelible mark on the Memphis music scene. The partnership between Elvis Presley and Sun Records was the spark that ignited the rock and roll revolution. It introduced the world to a young man with a sound that was fresh, dynamic, and irresistible.
It's what makes it go. And you always have really, it's moths to a flame, I think. It goes back to that same premise. They're attracted to somebody like him. And, I think two things, some man is good looking, or some man, and if you've got wealth and looks, they're really going to come.
As his popularity grew, he began to tour more extensively, primarily in the southern United States. He played at a range of venues, from small clubs to larger theaters. Elvis's live performances were often met with unseen-before reactions from audiences.
I was on a show in Memphis, and I came out on stage, and I was scared stiff. And I came out, and I was doing a fast type tune, one of my first records. And everybody was hollering, and I didn't know what they were hollering at. Everybody was screaming and everything. And then I came off stage, and my manager told me that they was hollering because I was wiggling my legs. And so I went back out for an encore, and I did a little more, and the more I did, the wilder they went.
His charismatic stage presence and dynamic performances, combined with his good looks and distinctive style, led to a phenomenon known as Elvis mania, characterized by his screaming fans.
My name is Jerry Schilling. I met Elvis in 1954 at the age of 12 years old. I went to the local park one day. It's called Dave Wells Community Center, Guthrie Park. There was a little school called Guthrie. There were 5 older boys, like high school. I was in grade school, trying to get up a 6th player to play football. And one of the older guys was a friend of my older brother's, Red West. And he said, "Jerry, do you want to play with us?" Because I played grade school football, and Red knew I did. And I said, "Sure." Little kids always like to play with the older guys. And we went in the huddle, and I saw this guy, and this was the week that Dewey Phillips had played That's All Right, Mama, the very first time. I had been listening to Dewey Phillips for 2 years, ever since I was 10 years old. And I looked and I knew who it was. It was Elvis Presley. And that was it for me. Changed my whole life. I wanted to be like him. He was lovable, he was dangerous, everything a young kid would admire, And I remember going home, saying a little prayer that night, saying, gosh, a real prayer, saying, I really wish he would be my friend.
Despite his budding career in the music industry, Elvis took his responsibilities at Crown Electric seriously. However, his time at Crown Electric only lasted for a few months, as his rapid rise in the music industry soon made it evident that his future lay on the stage rather than behind a delivery truck. So by the end of 1954, Elvis's musical career had gained such momentum that he was able to transition into full-time performing and recording. The Louisiana Hayride was a popular radio show based in Shreveport, Louisiana, known for showcasing emerging talents in country and rockabilly music. It was a powerful radio station with a wide reach across the southern United States. Elvis' first appearance on the show was on October 16, 1954. He performed his breakthrough hit, "That's All Right." Elvis quickly became a regular performer on the Louisiana Hayride, making a total of 50 appearances between 1954 and 1956. His electrifying stage presence and distinctive musical style captivated audiences and set him apart as a standout talent. His performances were dynamic and charged with energy, leaving a mark on the country music scene. The Louisiana Hayride played a significant role in launching Elvis's career. It provided him with exposure to a broad and diverse audience across the southern United States, helping him gain popularity beyond Memphis. A significant milestone came on March 3, 1955, when he made his first television appearance on the television version of the show.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Elvis's success on the Louisiana Hayride caught the attention of record labels. In 1955, he signed a contract with RCA Victor, a major label, which marked a turning point in his career. Elvis's move to RCA Victor came after his success with Sun Records and the Louisiana Hayride. The switch was primarily driven by his growing popularity and the need for a major label with the resources to support his expanding career.
Actually, I wasn't known at all until Colonel Parker started managing me, you see, and I got on RCA Victor and on television, and then I started being known.
Before that time, you were recording on the Sun label for Sam Phillips down in Memphis?
Yes, I was known in certain sections, but I wasn't known all over.
Elvis achieved his first #1 hit with the single Heartbreak Hotel in April 1956.
Good-hearted lovers to cry there in their gloom and be so, well, baby's lonely, baby, so lonely. Well, they're so lonely, they could die.
The song became a massive success. Other hits he recorded with RCA included Blue Suede Shoes and Hound Dog.
You ain't knocking
This is one of the biggest smash hits in America today.
Well, it's doing okay. I'll say it's doing okay.
In the first years, the recording sessions, RCA would send a lot of records to Elvis to record, to listen to and see if anybody picked out. Most of the time, he didn't pick out most of the songs at all because he didn't care for them. But a lot of times, some of the musicians would have songs, or somebody else would give songs, and he'd hear those and he'd record those.
With RCA Victor, Elvis released his self-titled debut album in 1956. Elvis's signature dance move was his pelvis shaking, which was considered highly provocative at the time. This movement was a central feature of his live performances and became a part of his stage presence. His dancing had a profound impact on teenage culture. Young people were drawn to his rebellious image and his daring dance style. His hip-shaking dance moves drove fans wild. However, to many, his dancing was considered too provocative and scandalous, and his style became a symbol of youthful conservatives of society, particularly religious and moral authorities, were alarmed by Elvis's dance style.
Those people want to see a show. They come out to see some action. And if I stood up in front of an audience and did nothing but sing, if I didn't put on a show, and if I didn't act like I enjoyed what I was doing, they wouldn't come out to see me the next time I went back.
They viewed it as a direct challenge to decency and decorum.
In the United States, of course, they created a sensation. And the press asked me what I thought about them, and I told them that I thought that eventually they probably would get a haircut, because these things have a way of passing. Like Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley and different ones who attracted teenagers by the thousands in years past.
You know, here you are in this pretty rigid Southern society, Everybody had come out of a depression from the war and everything, and this was the 50s. It was the first, I think, society of young people that was kind of looking for its own identity. We had just enough extra money where we could be a little more independent. Elvis really personified that. He had the look, he had the attitude. It was natural with him, too. He's the only star I have ever met that looked like, acted like a special person, a star, before he had a hit record.
Like a fool, treat me
Television networks were often faced with a dilemma when it came to featuring Elvis. Some TV producers and networks were hesitant to show him below the waist due to concerns about the suggestive nature of his dancing. For instance, during his early appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis was filmed primarily from the waist up to avoid controversy. In Jacksonville, Florida, in 1956, city officials issued an ordinance requiring Elvis to tone down his act. Elvis defiantly performed anyway, leading to his arrest, though the charges were eventually dropped. In the late 1950s, as the world was captivated by the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley took a bold step onto the silver screen.
The movie years were the best years that I spent with him. They were not only the first years I spent with him, but they just far outweigh the touring.
Brings another reason I won't watch what we built fall apart. I need it all.
Being in Hollywood with or without Elvis was exceptional at the time. It was a wonderful time to be there. And being with Elvis made it fantastic. Being by myself, it was still great when he would come back here.
Elvis's cinematic journey began with Love Me Tender in 1956. His entrance into cinema was not only a testament to his versatility, but also marked a new era in entertainment.
Yeah, he talked about them as being travelogues starring Elvis Presley. He said, I go somewhere and I get in a fight and I sing to women and I sing to the guy after I hit him, and he would make little jokes about it. He says, travelogue, Hawaii, Mexico, everywhere he went.
Loving You followed in 1957, a tale loosely inspired by Elvis's own rise to stardom.
Loving you makes no difference where I go.
He wanted to make other movies, and he should have. He should have had more drama, because you see King Creole and Jailhouse Rock, you know he can carry a drama. He can carry a role of heavy drama.
But it was Jailhouse Rock the same year that captivated the industry with his groundbreaking performance. Elvis's films often featured his musical talents, showcasing his singing and dancing abilities. The musical sequences in his films became an integral part of his appeal to audiences, and many of Elvis's films were commercially successful.
I'm not sure that Elvis really would have had to stretch. I think that Elvis would have, in any role, would have adapted to it and been able to perform fantastic, like in King Creole. He had a great cast around him. He had an Oscar-winning director directing him. He had a great script from A Stone for Danny Fisher, the book written by Harold Robbins. It was a natural. It was originally intended for James Dean at Paramount. Then James Dean died in September of 1955. They shelved it. Then Hal Wallace and Elvis came on the scene.
He was a gentleman, very quiet, good sense of humor, very serious about his work, very sensitive, very private, but private only because, not on the set and not with actors, but he was so besieged by the public. He had very little time of his own. He couldn't go to, say, a market or a drugstore by himself. He just couldn't do it.
Well, he had to go early in the morning or on a Sunday and close the whole place.
Yes, he was a great fan. And the reason he was a wonderful fan is because that's almost exclusively what he did, was watch television and go to movies.
Movie magnate Samuel Goldwyn congratulates Elvis and the others. The reason? This is Elvis Presley's personal check to be given to the Motion Picture Relief Fund, which operates the Motion Picture Country House and Hospital.
They consistently performed well at the box office and contributed significantly to his popularity and wealth. Over the course of his career, Elvis appeared in a total of 33 feature films spanning various genres, including musicals, comedies, dramas, and romances. While Elvis's film career was successful, it also led to some criticism. Some argued that the demands of his film schedule took away from his ability to focus on his music career.
He did 2 or 3, good movies when he came back. But the movies were getting weaker and weaker, and the soundtracks were getting, in some cases, more ridiculous and more ridiculous. And he didn't want to record too many movie songs, and he was promised when he did a movie song, especially a situation scene, that they would never be released on records. It was another lie to Elvis. When he did Old MacDonald Had a Farm, that was never to come out. But all the business guarantees that were given Elvis were all broken.
Elvis and his management team recognized the long-term repercussions of his controversial image. They were apprehensive about how it might impose on his ability to secure contracts or endorsements.
1956, Elvis Presley revolutionizes rock and roll. It looked like nothing could slow him down. But something did. Drafted at the peak of his success, Presley is inducted into the Army on March 24th, 1958.
Joining the Army emerged as a chance for Elvis to make a fresh start.
He does his basic training at Fort Hood in Texas. Later, he serves the 3rd Armored Division in Germany as a truck driver.
So on March 24th, 1958, Elvis reported for induction at the Memphis Draft Board.
According to all regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
The Uniform Code of Military Justice.
I got drafted in the Army same time Elvis did. I went to Fort Hood, Texas. Elvis came to Fort Hood, Texas for basic training. Didn't meet him there. Saw him a couple times on base, but that was it. Then I went to Friedberg, Germany, Combat Command C. Combat Command C was the name of the base. And I was there for about 30 days. Then we heard the rumor that Elvis was coming to our base.
Basic training wasn't hard for me at all. It was harder afterwards, after I had gotten into a regular outfit. Not the service itself, but just the surroundings, and I was in a strange land, and the outfit I was in, they had quite a bit of field duty. We stayed in the field 6 months out of the year.
So one night I was working late in the office with my friend George DiDomizio and my partner. I was a finance clerk for the Army. I lucked out. And we see all these people starting to gather up around outside the gates of the camp. And I asked George, what's going on? He says, well, we heard Elvis is coming to our base tonight. And all of a sudden, about 8 o'clock at night, buses come in with all these troops, and kids are screaming and yelling. And Elvis was on the bus somewhere. You couldn't see him because everybody's dressed in GIs, and it was dark at night, but they all stood out there for hours and hours and screamed and yelled. And that's the first time he came on the base. I didn't meet him at that time.
He was assigned to the 2nd Armored Division. Elvis could have requested deferments or special treatment due to his celebrity status, but he chose to fulfill his military duty like any other citizen. He believed it was his responsibility to serve his country.
Well, Elvis's life was not typical GI. I mean, there was always people outside of his house. The fans were always out there. It was a little tougher for him to be in the Army because everybody was watching him. And they were keeping an eye on him to make sure he did a good job or make sure he didn't goof off. So it was tougher for him than a lot of the other GIs.
How the Army would stand the impact of Mr. Presley was a big question months ago, but not now, as Elvis explained.
Elvis, since you've been in the Army, have the boys given you kind of a rough time in the barracks because of your past career, would you say?
No, sir, I was very surprised. I've never met a better group of boys in my life. They probably would have if it's been like everybody thought. I mean, everybody thought I wouldn't have to work and I would be given special treatment and this and that. But when they looked around and saw I was on KP and I was pulling guard and everything just like they were, well, they figured, well, it's just like us.
Elvis's decision to join the Army was met with mixed reactions. Some praised him for fulfilling his civic duty, Regardless, Elvis's 2-year military service had a significant impact on his career. He was unable to perform, record, or make public appearances during this period.
I understand that you want to become a dramatic actor, is that right?
Well, so that's my big ambition now. It takes a lot of time, a lot of experience, but I hope I make it. I mean, that's what I want to do.
And do you feel that you want to fashion yourself after Sinatra or perhaps James Dean?
I wouldn't want to fashion myself after any one individual because I would like to develop my own technique. You know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I admire Mr. Sinatra. I think he's a great actor and all that. But I wouldn't want to pattern myself after any individual.
All this means, of course, that some of your music will lose, perhaps. You'll be doing fewer records?
No, sir, it doesn't mean that, because I wouldn't want to give up singing. I'm only saying that I would like to become a good actor, you know.
To be a singing actor.
But that year, everything took a troubling turn for Elvis.
Losing my mother while I was in the Army, and although I think that things like that is as tragic as they are, tend to make you a little better human being, really, because you learn more about yourself. It gives you a better understanding of yourself as well as other people. And
back in Memphis,
it can only help.
Elvis's mother had been battling health issues for several years. Her condition had worsened over time, leading to her hospitalization. Gladys was initially hospitalized at a Memphis hospital. However, due to her deteriorating condition, Elvis arranged for a private room to be set up at their family home in Graceland so that she could receive care while being close to her family. Elvis was given emergency leave and a special plane was chartered to bring him home on August 12th. 2 days later, she passed away. Gladys's illness and subsequent passing had a profound impact on Elvis. The loss of his mother had a significant effect on Elvis's emotional well-being.
His earnings from records alone totaled nearly $2 million. He was and still is the best-selling single recording artist in history.
Elvis liked to have his friends and buddies around him. He enjoyed their company, and it made him comfortable, and he was basically a very shy person until he got to know you. So once he got comfortable around you, he'd rather have those people around him instead of strangers. First time he met Priscilla, I happened to be at the house that evening when she was introduced to him. When she walked in the door, I mean, very pretty young lady, but I didn't know how old she was at the time, and I figured she was about 16. But at the time, she was 14, I find out later.
She liked young girls. She thought if they got 18, they were ready for Social Security. I said, listen, you better get some keys. And he said, what do we need keys for? I said, the fucking jail cell. They're gonna put our ass in for you dating a 14-year-old girl. We ain't gonna be able to
I'll tell you where part of that came from.
What?
Why Frank Freeman? Yeah. He was 70, 80 years old.
Yeah.
And we used to notice that he would walk the studio with this beautiful young girls. They were probably starlit. So Dr. Blank at MGM Studios, who was the studio doctor, and he asked him, he says, I see Mr. Freeman, with all these young girls. He said, he's 70, 80 years old. He said, what can you do with these girls? And Dr. Blank looked at him and he said, Elvis, when you get Mr. Freeman's age, he said, come see me.
But she was very mature, very quiet at first, because naturally walked in the room with all these guys in there. And then Elvis, that's a pretty tough situation to be in.
Elvis, there have been a lot of rumors about your love life. Did you meet anyone special in Germany?
There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there that her father was in the Air Force, and actually they only got over there about 2 months before I left. I was seeing her, and she was at the airport when I left. And there were some pictures made of her. The stories came out, the girl he left behind. and all that. It wasn't like that. I mean, I had to be careful when I answer a question like that.
An international crowd of reporters and photographers from all major news outlets in Germany arrive at Ray Barrick's Friedberg for a special press conference. The most famous enlisted man and usurer during the last year and a half is about to go back to his millions of fans.
So it was farewell to military glory and the 16-year-old Priscilla. What fame for that girl to have been a friend of the Emperor of Rock and Roll.
Because he has been almost completely away from singing and acting while in the Army, reporters have plenty of questions about the future to ask Sergeant Elvis Presley. Elvis says he plans to continue with his style of rock and roll singing, but without his famous sideburns. However, his greatest interest is now in serious dramatic acting.
Hands on the package there. Hold a telegram up top. Look at him, Nancy. Turn around. Turn around. That's good. Right here.
Have 2 years of sobering Army life changed your mind about rock and roll?
Sobering Army life. No, it hasn't.
As the curtain falls on the first chapter of Elvis Presley's extraordinary life, we witness the transformation of a young boy from Tupelo, Mississippi, into a global sensation where dreams seemed boundless, to the stages of the Louisiana Hayride and beyond.
It's moths to a flame, I think. It goes back to that same premise. They're attracted to somebody like him.
In the face of controversy and the weight of stardom, Elvis remained true to his roots, drawing strength from the love of his family and the soul-stirring melodies of rock-infused gospel music. The king was poised for even greater heights, and the world awaited with breaths held to be a part of Elvis's journey.